This is Believing Buckeyes. I'm Bryant with All-American quarterback Chimdi Chekwa. We got a good show for you guys. We did our research on the national championship game. Our opponent, Notre Dame, the fighting, what's the Fighting Irish? Fighting Irish, man, led by head coach Marcus Freeman. So, hey, this show's really, man, we about to break into it. We about to dive into this Notre Dame team, give you our thoughts. We're looking at stats. We're looking at film. We're looking at previous games against Ohio State. What took place last season? That seemed like a long time ago, right?
Long time ago.
Yeah,
long time ago.
Yeah,
I
like
thought somebody tweeted
ago.
for the game-winning touchdown. Syracuse quarterback handed the ball off to Toledo's running back.
For the game winner, right? Yeah. So, interesting matchup. Obviously, Notre Dame is led by their quarterback, Riley Leonard, 6'4", played primarily most of his football at Duke, transferred over to Notre Dame here for a season at making the playoffs, trying to win a national championship. Leads the team with 2,600 passing yards. But what's most impressive, he had almost 1,000 yards rushing. But I don't think I knew he ran the ball, but I didn't know he ran the ball like that. 866 yards rushing. Obviously, if he gets sacked, he loses yards, so it's probably about 1,000 legit rushing yards for him on the season. Chim, tell me what your thoughts are on this quarterback, his rushing attack, and just overall your opinion on, what will he be capable of doing against Ohio State here coming on Monday?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious what Notre Dame is trying to do offensively. It's run the ball with the running back and with the quarterback. The quarterback is just another running back, honestly, who can throw the ball a little bit. He's done a good job of
Hold on, was that a little bit? That was a little shade right there.
Right? I'm not shading him. He's not as good as the running back in terms of running the ball, but he's as effective because he can also pull it, run some run pass option, read the defense, etc. And he's been, I mean, that's how they've gotten the bulk of their offensive yards and touchdowns. He has 16 touchdowns on the season, running the ball, 19 passing the ball. So he's almost equal his touchdowns passing with the rush. I mean, he's a quarterback, kind of that leader, that guy who goes out there, he'll run into a guy, he'll jump over a guy for a first down, he'll get the team fired up. He's not really a very effective passer, but his ability to be dual threat in terms of being able to run that run pass option, being able to run some design runs, escape out of the pocket, extend the play and throw the ball, gives them the opportunity to move the ball in offense. They have, I remember watching them early on in the season. He struggled a little bit, and they have kind of shifted to this super heavy style running the ball with the quarterback, and that's something that Ohio State is going to have to plan for. I think what we've been susceptible to for most of the year is those quarterbacks who drop back and pass and then scramble for yardage. So they're going to hope to get some of that, but I don't think, a quarterback who's almost 1,000-yard rusher, I don't think that's going to catch the defense by surprise.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So, speaking about the quarterback, obviously now I'm gonna say their best offensive weapon is obviously their running back, and Jeremiyah Love. He has close to over 1,100 rushing yards for the season. That number's kind of skewed because they use multiple running backs. They obviously Leonard's number 2 on the team, where I say 800 some rushing yards, and number 3 running back, Price has close to over 700 rushing yards. So essentially, they use multiple people in their running game. You never see Jeremiyah Love with a ton of carries because, once again, they're playing multiple guys in that position. But going into this game, Jeremiyah Love, he's in the knee brace, right? He injured his knee, I believe. I believe that was the Indiana game. After a big run, he kind of got nicked a little bit and kind of, not been himself. But obviously against Penn State, he's still running the ball strong. He has a highlight all across the nation when he run through like 4 or 5 Nittany Lions to score a touchdown. He's been yapping a little bit, right? Yapping a little bit about, he wants to play before we won our game. He wants to play Ohio State. He sees us as the best team in the nation. He has a little regret and in his mind about last season's game, alluded to us there, essentially on the last play. And he feels like Notre Dame got better. Hey, Notre Dame, we're a better team than we are last year. What's your thoughts on Jeremiyah Love? All that talking and yapping, will he be able to kind of back that up here Monday in his play and make Ohio State, I don't know.
He said we want the best. And he believed that Ohio State is the best. And I think he's right. I think Ohio State is the best. And unfortunately for Jeremiyah Love and Notre Dame, I think Ohio State's going to stand in the way between them and the national championship for that reason, because they are the best. He is a tough running back. You know, he runs downhill, he breaks tackles. He rarely lets that first guy make the tackle by himself. Gets a lot of yak yards. He, that knee brace, you mentioned him being hurt or, getting hurt. That knee brace didn't really seem to affect him versus Penn State. He seemed very effective running the ball. But Notre Dame's approach to winning this game, as good as he is, and he's going to make some plays. The quarterback's also going to make some plays running the ball. So they're going to have to figure out how to manufacture some offense.
Yeah.
But they're limited in terms of what they can actually do. I just don't see them offensively with the way they approach offense being able to really put up that many points. It's surprising. What's the stats for their?
Yeah, so look at that, and this was surprising. I looked it up before we kind of started the show. So Notre Dame's offense has averaged 37 points per game for the season, which is 6th in the nation. So they essentially average more points in the game than Ohio State. But like I was saying, looking at the numbers, I mean, obviously guys got good numbers, right? We're talking about a good team, but no one really sticks out. Like no numbers are just like, oh, if you start looking at compared to Ohio State, just because, right? We're talking about another good team. But Jeremiyah Love, the best running back, only has 1,100 rushing yards, right? And we have played teams like Tennessee Samson, who has 1,600 rushing yards for the season. The leading wide receiver, which is Greathouse, who essentially made the biggest play for Notre Dame last week against the Nittany Lions when he beat the corner off the line. He makes that guy fall. Leonard hit him with a pass. He makes the safety fall, ran into the end zone. It was a pretty impressive play. But on the season, he only had 400 receiving yards. So, I mean, none of these guys' numbers really stick out. But I feel like that kind of tells the story of this Notre Dame team on how they beat you. And like you say, muddying up the game, winning the field position battle, time of possession, things of that nature. And they kind of lean on you, weigh on you with a lot of pressure defensively. Number one team in the nation when it comes to blitzes. And they lean on you that way. And that's kind of how they start scoring and essentially run away with the game in that fashion.
Special teams, man. This is Marcus Freeman, who played for the Tressel, all right? He played for Jim Tressel. And Jim Tressel's, what's his famous quote? Punt is the most important play
in football.
In football.
That's right.
Notre Dame, based on those stats that you just highlighted, Notre Dame, it feels like they get a lot of hitting yards, right? Punt return, kickoff return, being able to stop the defense, backed up, getting the ball in good field position. It feels like they're creating short fields and being able to score, because it doesn't. I mean, you didn't name off any. Like you look at Ohio State, they almost got 3,000 yard receivers based on how this last game goes. Notre Dame doesn't have that, so it feels like, and if you can point to that game versus Georgia, I believe, where they had a kickoff return for a touchdown, and they didn't have a ton of offense. They didn't do much on offense, but they controlled the game. And they were able to win in that fashion. And I think that's their approach, right? To get some stops on defense, get good field position, put their offense in a position to punch it in and score. And that's where they make their plays. And it's been effective for them. It's just so hard to imagine that it will continue to work out. And, there's been a lot of talk that, Notre Dame's approach versus Ohio State, and really the matchup is similar to Michigan. And I understand that in terms of style, right? Winning the special teams, getting some of those hidden yards, playing tough defense, etc. I don't even think they have the same personnel in terms of defensive line and that type of front that Michigan has. So I don't know.
Completely understand. I mean, right? Every playoff game, right? We kept saying like, okay, well, this team has this guy or these guys on the defensive line, right? And we need to be concerned about them. Notre Dame's best defensive lineman is injured, right? He got hurt in the first playoff game. He's out for the rest of the season. I don't know exactly what the injury is, but I know it's a lower body type injury. You saw him on crutches at the semifinal game, going out as a captain. That's their number one guy. So he's played most of the tackle, played some DN, but he led the team in sacks. But so essentially, what they do is they like I say, the number one team in the nation that blitz. They send a lot of different pressures. They skin you up well, and they're kind of taking their shots, hoping to force you into a mistake, right? Into a turnover, a fumble, say, something of that nature, get you off balance, get you behind the chains, do something like that so they can kind of, and then from there try to win the situation and move forward from that standpoint. So,
yeah, number one in blitzing, and they also are one of their defense. They lean on a lot of man coverage on the outside, and they're one of the top coverage teams, man to man across the board that I've seen. But they're gonna have to figure out that defensive approach versus Ohio State.
And then if you look at the game last year, when we had Marvin Harrison Jr., they took that approach. Like, we're not going to let Marvin Harrison Jr. beat us. Like, you're going to have to find some windows in the middle of the field. You're going to have to, get the ball to your running backs. If we look back at that game, as you look back on it, that was how we had success, right? We was able to start getting the ball to the running backs. We was able to get the ball to some other guys, and obviously we did enough, right, to beat them last year. But that was Texas' game plan. We're not going to let this guy beat us. Find another way. And obviously, Will Howard was able to do that. He was able to hit G. Scott in the middle of the field. He was able to go to Cardinal Tate often. Cardinal Tate led the game in receiving and catches 8 yards against Texas. He had to go elsewhere because, hey, we're not losing to these guys. We're going to do something a little bit different to try to make your eyes go somewhere else before you release the ball.
Yeah, and I love that they went to Cardinal Tate as much as they did. After a few games, it felt like they weren't utilizing him enough. And him getting that Texas game, those targets, he had the one drop touchdown pass where he beat the corner on the slant. But he needed those reps really to set up this national championship game. If you watch when Ohio State versus Notre Dame last year, early third down, I think it was like 3rd down 7, 3rd down and 8, they got a double on Marvin Harrison. They got a double on Emeka Egbuka, and they got the one corner just locked up on the third receiver. And this year, if you got Cardinal Tate as that third receiver, I mean, he could win. One-on-one, he's likely going to win. So I like that he got some touches to really prepare for this next game. The other thing that happened last year, where I thought Ohio State's offense started becoming really effective, because of the way Notre Dame was using their safeties to double and keep a safety high in the middle of the field or double the slot, it allowed the running backs to get out in space in the pass game. Saw some of that versus Texas on the one drive when they were able to go down there and score later on in the game. But I think Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, passes out the backfield is just going to be there. It's just going to be there because at some point you just run out of guys to cover everything, right? You got in any type of zone coverage that these teams play, that Notre Dame plays, they're going to be dropping guys towards Jeremiah Smith. Guys are going to drop a little bit deeper. There's going to be space for those running backs to work. And it just seems like Ohio State has too much firepower for the way that Notre Dame plays defense. But you got to play the game and see.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, obviously, Notre Dame didn't get here by accident, right?
Right.
The 12 team playoffs, like no one got here by accident. You had to kind of line up and play against some good teams, have some success, and win, no matter what that looked like, right? And obviously, Notre Dame, their last game against Penn State, I think we kind of hit on it a little bit, but I mean, if you just look at the eye test between both teams, Penn State and Notre Dame, I feel like Penn State had the advantage, right? But it just, essentially, it really wasn't enough, right? Notre Dame kind of kept fighting, they put themselves in position, and then what happened? Penn State makes a mistake late in the game, bad pass, and then what? They kick a game-winning field goal to go on to the national championship. So anyway, I think we talked about in our last episode, buddying things up, field position. That's the game they want to play, and we know for sure they don't want to get into a track meet with Ohio State, right? They want to be able to play defense, figure out how to stop us, make Will Howard make him uncomfortable, have him make some mistakes, and then hopefully they can stay in the game and essentially win it late when it comes to playing us.
Yeah, speaking of track meets, what happened to the college football track meets in the playoffs, right? Like, what happened to the super high-scoring games and offenses, spread offenses, really just no answer defensively for a lot of these games? We're not seeing a lot of that. It seems like a lot of defensive struggles for the most part. And it's starting to feel like the defense has caught up with the offense. Like, the defense has caught up with some of the innovation of the RPO pass game. You look at Notre Dame, the way they counter it, they just play man. We're gonna play some man coverages. We're gonna blitz here and there, and you're not gonna be able to put us in difficult situations when it comes to some of that run pass option stuff. Ohio State, Jim Knowles' defense seems like it's built for that RPO spread type offense with the 3 safeties. With that safety like Caleb Downs, you don't know where he's going to end up, but he's really messing up, what you're trying to do offensively. And, throughout these playoffs, with 10 days to prepare for a game, 14 days to prepare for a game. Some teams had a month to get ready, and I think they cried about they had too long, right?
Yeah.
It just seems like the what you expect from an offense to be able to scheme up the defense isn't happening. It's really the defenses that seem to, whoever has the better defense seems to be the team that comes out with the win. Whoever can make more plays defensively at the end of the game. And it's coming down to defensive play. Ohio State, Jack Sawyer, a sack fumble for a touchdown to win the game. So, I don't know. It's interesting how things are shifting a little bit more defense.
No,
I'm interested to see, how much of a defensive struggle this game is. I don't suspect on the Ohio State side. I expect them to be able to put up points, but it is just interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in Ohio State has the number 1 defense in the nation. When you talk about scoring right now, we currently have that title. But when it comes down to, I mean, it's the same. Like, defense win championships, right? And I know when people was watching, right, you know how the internet is, right? People are watching the Final Four of college football, right? Obviously, you got Ohio State and Texas on Friday night. Well, on Thursday night, you got Penn State versus Notre Dame. And what happened? People started saying, like, how are these guys in the Final Four? Like, I think someone was saying, Notre Dame? I forgot. Someone, I know you responded to a tweet. I was like, this team wouldn't be able to get the ball past the 50 against Georgia and things of that nature. And it's like, Georgia was in these playoffs. They played Notre Dame. They didn't. It must have been Penn State, right? Because I know they didn't say that, but Notre Dame actually just beat them. But all the hypotheticals come in. Oh, because they're not seeing the fancy, running show and the quarterbacks and the receivers are hitting on all these big plays. But defense wins championships, right? So if you're doing the right things, you got your guys looking at the right stuff. They're not getting confused. I mean, a lot of times in college football, guys used to get confused, right? And you see guys wide open and running up for touchdown. You kind of start nicking some of that stuff. No one's confused anymore. You're looking at the right things. You're playing man, so hey, stick with your man, guard him wherever he goes, things of that nature. We're going to figure out how to affect the quarterback with different pressures. We get bigger guys on the defensive line, right, and they could win one-on-one situations against offensive linemen. All those things matter. All those things matter, and it affects offense. And, I feel like that's what we've been seeing at these playoffs. Obviously, we've been doing it at the highest level, but Notre Dame has been doing it as well. And that's essentially what got them to this point. But I think we both are predicting here that run is coming to an end on Monday, right?
I think it's coming to an end. I think Ohio State covers the spread, whatever it is. What is it, like 10 points or something like that?
I think it's like, last time I looked, it was 9.5.
Yeah,
So,
I think I honestly think it's a safe bet.
Yeah,
I think it's a safe bet.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously Notre Dame is you talk about blue bloods of college football. They're right up there. 13 national titles. They haven't won a national championship since '88. That's the year me and you was born. So it's been a while. But they obviously have a fan base throughout the nation. Notre Dame has fans across the nation. And it's making it really tough to get a ticket. Are you going to the game, man? You're looking at the ticket prices. It's kind of crazy, man.
I consider it. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to make the trip. But, yeah, I'll be in my same spot watching the game.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's still up in the air for me. It's a slight chance. But looking at those ticket prices, like I love Ohio State. I hope we win a national championship, but I don't know if I got kids, man. I got young kids to be concerned about, man. Sometimes stuff just don't make sense when you look at it math-wise, man. But yeah, man. But we'll have more for you this week. We're trying to drum up here a special guest on the show. Tim, I looked this up on Apple that today is actually our 100th episode.
Okay.
This show right here, man. So we've been, man. So claps to us. Claps on the
back.
back.
100.
We made it to 100, man. We've been kind of sticking to it, getting shows in. And I was saying, like, if Ohio State could get to a national championship every 100 episodes, not too bad. And
it won't be bad.
I don't want to jinx it and say, like, win it. Maybe next time we do so, you say maybe they win one every 100 episodes or so. But not too bad, man. So I wanted to just shout that out as well. I don't know, man. Any final thoughts on
Yeah,
Notre Dame? Like,
no
can they
final
beat
thought.
us? One more thing I want to shout out. If Jeremiyah Love was talking, and I got this clip here, like Lathan Ransom, like just literally taking out running backs and quarterbacks throughout the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then it's a highlight of him taking out Jeremiyah Love, like our last game. They didn't say it, but he definitely gave Arch Manning a concussion last week. No one mentioned it, but if you watched him, he went limb, he got up stumbling, definitely was concussed after that hit that Lathan Ransom put on. So you got to be careful.
Yeah, we got two of the best safeties in college football. Caleb Downs he's a smart player. He gets to the ball. Wherever the ball goes, he gets there in a hurry. Lathan Ransom goes through the ball. If you got the ball, he goes through it. It's either coming out of a running back's hands or receiver's hands, or he's laying guys out. Those guys are some dogs. The last thing I would say is, I mentioned the spread 9.5.
Yeah.
I think it's a safe bet. If you're looking to make some bets, bet online. It's your place to do it. And in all sports, they have all the stats out there for you to look through and make good decisions. But you can also trust me on this one. I think Ohio State covers the spread. I got all the respect in the world for Notre Dame and the way they approach the game, the way they execute, and the way they understand the moment and what it requires. They've been one of the teams throughout the playoffs who have surprised me, just rising to the challenge every time. I think they will rise to this challenge as well. I just don't think they have enough height to get there. So yeah. What's your thoughts on score?
On score, I'm gonna give Notre Dame some respect. I think so far Ohio State has covered. They have won essentially all the games by double digits. The Texas one was close right to the last big play. We won all the games by double digits. So I'm going to say Ohio State comes up with 30 points for the day, 30 points, and Notre Dame comes up with 13, 30 to 13. That's what I'm going with. Obviously, I'm always lopsided. I'm biased. I can't help myself. But hell, if a lot of things don't go wrong for Ohio State, we should win this game. So that's my mindset going into it for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 34-17. Somehow they get 17 points up there. I think the last score is not gonna matter that much. Like the game's already in the bag. But yeah, I think 34-17, somewhere around there. I do think it's a tough game early on. I think it's a back and forth tough game, and it's not gonna feel like a double digit win in the end for most of the game. But I think Ohio State pulls away.
Yeah, and one more thing. I guess we didn't talk about it. We're at the end of the show, but you mentioned how Notre Dame stayed in these games and how they kind of. I feel like it's really because of their offensive line. I feel like their offensive line is very good. Got a lot of talented guys. They had some injuries. They left tackle most likely they had most of the season won't play, but essentially a guy that they had projected as left tackle before the season who got injured will most likely fill in that role. They're very good up front, and I feel like that right a lot of wrongs for them. Obviously, they're able to run the ball. Yeah. They're able to kind of keep their quarterback playing. But just like last week, their right tackle better be ready to play, because if not, Jack Sawyer is coming, and that's all. You know it.
Yeah.
He's coming. That's for sure. But yeah, that's our show. As always, like I said, we'll try to hit you guys with a few more things this week. If available, we might go live for the game. So always follow us on YouTube. Tune to us on wherever you catch your podcasts at, Apple, Spotify, wherever that nature. We will be bringing you Ohio State news, what's happening. And yeah, man, it's going to keep it fun, man. But as always, we end our show with a nice OH.
Ayo.
Go Bucks. We talk to you guys soon.
Go Bucks.